Welcome to Tornado Warning, a new channel here on YouTube. I hope you guys enjoy it. So with this one, I want to kind of get into the background of how I got into tornadoes and why it's important to me. And bottom line, I live in Oklahoma. I live in the heart of Tornado Alley. And this is what Tornado Alley looks like. Um, Generally, the areas in deep dark red are the areas that have the most tornadoes throughout the calendar year. I'm right there in the heart of that zone. Uh, During my lifetime, I've seen a vast number of tornadoes. Fortunately, I've never had a property taken out by one, but I've seen quite a few. And this here is the very first tornado that I experienced. This is June 5th, 1966 in Enid, Oklahoma. And kind of the funny story goes along with this. I was just a wee lad. At this time, I was about 8 months old when this tornado came through. And it passed within a block of my parents' house. And the funny part of that was that my dad, he was working in a grocery store, small grocery in Enid, Oklahoma. And they sounded the sirens, and there was a lady in the store who just wanted to keep on shopping. And my dad was like, "No, you gotta get out of the store." And she wouldn't leave. And so he finally told her, "Listen, lady, I have a wife. I got a son at home. I've got to get home. I got to get them to the shelter, make sure they aren't hurt or anything in this storm." And so here's the bottom line: you need to leave the store now, or I'm going to lock you in the store. And so she finally left, and then he got in the car and raced to the other end of town. And it was actually just a few blocks away. They got to the house, and he took my mom and myself down to the cellar. And on the way out the door, I was crying, as an 8-month-old would. And my mother says, "Well, I've got to go back in the house and get his pacifier. I forgot his pacifier." And my dad grabbed her by the shoulder and pointed right up at this particular tornado and says, "No, you got to go to the cellar now." And this tornado was a block from my parents' house. And then they went off into the cellar. And fortunately, their house wasn't damaged, but the just 2 or 3 houses away, the houses were wiped off the foundation. So that was kind of my first experience with tornadoes. It's not really my experience, however. It was my parents' experience, but I was there. So that kind of counts, doesn't it? So for years and years and years, I've been fascinated by tornadoes. And I guess it kind of goes with the territory when you grow up in Oklahoma, that you're kind of fascinated with this thing that comes out of the sky now and again. And and this is kind of when the news, the news crews now, I have to say we have some of the best forecasters in the country, and they're really good at this. And the station I like to watch, they have a whole team of trackers that cover the entire state, trying to get footage and try to keep everybody aware of where the tornado is exactly. And they are often able to beat the National Weather Service in doing tornado warnings. So this particular tornado, this is one of the early stages of the May 3rd, 1999 tornado. They eventually made its way into Moore, Oklahoma. And so this was a later shot of the exact same tornado. This is when it's going through Bridgeport, Oklahoma, which is just to the southwest of Oklahoma City. And then it moved on into town, and this is some of the damage that particular tornado produced, as is this right here. This is a truck that got caught out on the country road when the tornado was coming through, and it just wrapped it around a telephone pole. So this is why you don't want to be out running around in a car during a tornado, because you really can't, if you get, especially if you get stuck in traffic, you don't want to be in a situation where you get caught in your car while out on the road. And I'm going to provide another example of this later on with some of these other footage. Now, this is the May 20th, 2013 tornado, also in Moore. And Moore tends to get hit quite a bit, but it's just fluke, you know. They don't exactly, the tornadoes don't follow the exact same path, but they cross through the area of Moore quite frequently. Now, when I was 9 years old, 1974, Will Rogers World Airport, the international airport there in Oklahoma City, got hit by a tornado. And we lived about 3 miles from the airport. And I could not retrieve any photos of that particular tornado, but back behind my parents' house is grade school. And I remember being out there in the backyard with my mother, and we were watching the funnel go through the sky above the school in our backyard. Now, it touched down at the airport, flipped quite a few airplanes, and rose up into the clouds. And it was just a funnel where you see the tornado, but it's not touching the ground. It went directly over the school, back behind our house, and then it went down the road about 2-3 miles, and then touched down again, and ended up tearing up some houses and businesses along the road. And what's ironic about that particular tornado, I was at home with Mom, and we were watching the tornado go over the school behind our house, and that silly thing touched down, and my dad saw it from his place of employment about 5-6 miles away. He saw it going through neighborhoods. So that was fairly interesting to me anyway. So this is a May 20th, 2013 tornado in Moore, Oklahoma. And this here is the same tornado. This is caught by one of the storm chasers out of Oklahoma City, a fellow by the name of Val Castor. And he's really, really good at what he does. But he seems to have a death wish almost, because he gets right up close to these storms. And in this particular image, one of the things, now he has some better images, but those are inside the videos and I couldn't use those. But this particular image, you can see up in the sky all the debris coming out of that tornado as it moves across this roadway. Then we've got this storm here. Now, the first one was Moore, May 20, 2013. This is May 31st, 2013. And a lot of the shots I have are this particular tornado. And as you can see, this is a NSSL photograph, which is part of the NOAA, the Weather Service. And so a lot of these photographs are provided by them. But this is when the storm was just getting started up, before it became the massive monster it became later in the day, just within 30 minutes of this particular photograph being taken. And so let's go to the next one there. So this is that same tornado, a little bit further down the road, and it's gotten really sizable. And you can see what they call the funnel, or not the funnel, but the I think that's what they call it, the shelf cloud in front of this storm. And you really can't, looking into it, you cannot really see a particular funnel per se. You don't see the tornado itself, but you know it's in that mess. And so then we go to this let's see, not that picture, this picture here. Same storm, just a little bit further down the line. And this also is a public domain image. And let's see, then we go to this one here, which is the same storm again, just a little bit further down the road. Now, this particular tornado ended up killing a whole lot of people. And so I've got more footage of that. And this is the reason why. It's because you can see just within this image 6 cars in close proximity to this particular tornado. Now, bear in mind that some of these are actual storm chasers, professional storm chasers, and some of them are people like me who just go out and chase storms. Now, I used to do that a lot when I was younger, when I was in my 20s or so. I haven't done it in probably 2 decades now since I've got children of my own. But a lot of people, since the Storm Chasers TV series, a lot of people, when they hear the tornado warning go off, they go out on the highway see if they can't see the tornado. And I've seen footage from the professional storm chasers and the TV chasers, the people who work for the news stations, when they're out trying to chase these storms, and there's like 3, 4, 500 vehicles out on the road of people trying to chase these same storms. And that makes it overly dangerous for even the professionals, because a lot of times these people get caught and there is no escape. And especially when you can't pass a whole crowd of people because there's too many cars out there, then it runs into a situation where it creates a lot of potential for harm. So here's the same storm a little bit, just a few minutes later. And then this is also the same storm. And I believe it's not the same picture, but it's fairly similar, taken from the same location. And here is that same tornado again, and taken from a further distance away. Now, at this point, the one thing you need to understand about tornadoes is they cycle up and they cycle down. So when they cycle up, they go from being really tiny to being really big, and then during the lifespan of a tornado, it'll shrink back down again, and then it'll go back wider, and it'll shrink back down again, and then at the end of the life of the tornado, it does what they call roping out. And I don't have any pictures of rope tornadoes in this particular video, but a rope it's when you see a tornado that seems to it goes down and then goes sideways out for a long distance and then goes back down. That's what they call roping out. And that often happens just before a tornado dies. So here's the same storm again. And then this is the path that particular storm took. And you can see the close proximity to Oklahoma City. Just to the west of Oklahoma City is El Reno. And they call this the El Reno Tornado, but it ended near El Reno. And just kind of put this in better perspective, this is what it looks like from up close. And as you can see, this particular tornado, at its maximum, it went for 16.2 miles from beginning to end. It had a maximum rating of EF3, which on the EF scale goes from 0 to 5, which speaks to the wind speeds within the tornado, not really the size of the tornado itself. And then this particular tornado, it was one of these that expanded out and then shrunk down and expanded out and shrunk down. So as you recall, that first image I showed you of this, it was a very tiny tornado. And then we saw the pictures alongside the roadway where it was getting bigger and then it got smaller and then it gets bigger again. And when it expanded out to its largest size, it's 2.6 miles wide. And is at this point where it hit the 2.6 miles wide where so many people got killed because they were in the wrong place and they literally had no way to escape the storm because the storm basically expanded on top of them. So this here is Mike Bettas from the Weather Channel. He's out there chasing that day. And this is his tornado truck. And I don't know when this image is taken, but it's taken prior to the El Reno tornado, of course. And this is what happened to his tornado, what happened to his vehicle. That was a before shot and then the after shot after it got hit. And basically it got picked up off the roadway and carried out, I think they said 300 yards, and it rolled several times. I've seen the video from inside the truck, and it just rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled. And fortunately, nobody was killed in this particular vehicle, but several other people were killed. Here's the truck again. before it was destroyed, and then here's the truck after it was destroyed. And so next I'm going to take you to this here. This is the 3 of the storm chasers who were killed that day: Tim Samaras, Paul Samaras, and Carl Young. And they were also in the Storm Chaser series. That's where I became familiar with them. And they were top flight researchers who would go out. Originally, they would try to drop probes in front of the storm, and then later they would take measurements from outside the storm. And these guys they were probably among the most scientific of the chasers. They were actually doing it for the sake of science and not for the sake of video. But they died in that storm that day. And let's see. So this is the kind of car they were in when they were overtaken by the storm. Now, this particular car shows, this is one of them by Twistex, a Twistex car, which was the name of their company. And this one has the weather gear on top of the car. The car they were in on the day of that tornado did not have the weather gear on top of the car. So this next picture here, there's Tim, his son Paul, and Carl Young. Stars of Storm Chasers were killed while chasing a tornado in Oklahoma. And these next few images are of their car after the storm had come through. So that was the car, that was what was left of their car from one side, and that's what was left of their car from the other side. So their car got literally destroyed. All 3 of them passed away. They were all pulled from the car. So it's really sad for a lot of people in the storm chasing community, because these guys, they were just like top of the game, you know. And it was really disappointing to see them perish while doing tornado research. So that particular, the May 31st, 2013 storm, this is some of the damage pictures from that particular storm. So I'm going to walk you through. I got a few of those for you to look at. So there's that one, and then we got this one here. This is some cars and houses that were destroyed by the tornado. And this is a church, and then I've got a blow up that shows you that wall. Those are flying sheets of wood that you see there. And this is what the sheets of wood look like when they hit the building. This is somebody's house. You can see the microwave still on the counter, the dishwasher's still there, the fridge is still there, but everything, the rest of the house is gone. Some people still have a sense of humor after the storm goes through. Their house is completely destroyed, and they're saying, make an offer, no low ball offers, please. This is a van that got caught up in that storm, and as you can see, there's not too much left of it. And it's important that we look at images like this because it shows us why we don't want to be caught out in our car in a storm. There's been people who want to go out and storm chase, and they get caught up in this. In fact, the day Mike Bettas was injured and Tim Samaras and his crew were killed, there were also 2 other chasers out there who died in the same storm. Whoops. Let's see. There's that one. And then this is somebody's house, what's left of it. And they're recovering what they can from their home. And then this is a house where the only thing that remains of the house practically is the staircase and the closet under the staircase. And this is evidence of why they often tell us if you don't have a storm shelter to go to, look for like the bathroom at the center of the house, or look for a closet under the staircase, because those are actually the strongest portions of your house. And if you'd been in this closet, you would have survived this particular storm. Let's see. So now we've got, so this kind of gives you an idea of some of the different types of storms that are out there. Tornadoes themselves are as different as you can imagine. There's a lot of differential as far as what each storm looks like. In this particular storm, you can see the classic cone shape with the debris coming out from the bottom, and it's going through an area that is actually occupied because there's a sign right there. And then this, again, another large storm, the typical wedge shape, moving through an area where people are close by. This is a highway. And then we've got this one here. Again, a Weather Service person uploaded this image for us to look at. This particular storm, I've actually got two images of it. There's this one from a long distance away. And then there's this one here of the same storm, but as the storm moved closer to the photographer. Now, not all storms have that classic funnel. In this case, you can see the clouds up above, and you can see the debris field at the ground level. But the debris field, there is no, the condensation cone does not go from the ground to the clouds, and that happens quite frequently, actually. When they're first forming up, they'll spin up from the ground. You'll see the dirt being pulled up from the ground, and you will not see the condensation cloud. And then as the storm develops a little bit further, then the condensation cloud forms. And they call it a condensation cloud because there's a lot of moisture in there, but it's also, there's debris in there too that kind of makes those tornado funnels easier to see. Then we've got what are called twin tornadoes. And this one here is a twin. You can see the large tornado in the distance and the smaller tornado up close. And there looks like there might be a third small tornado in between those two, closer to the larger funnel, but I really can't say for sure. But here's a few more examples of twin tornadoes. This one was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a few years ago. And this one here, I don't recall where this one was at, but you can see, like in this case, you've got a solid tornado on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, you can see the tornado going down, and you can see the damage path at the ground, but you can see right through the middle of the tornado as the condensation funnel has not fully formed at this point in time yet. Here's another twin tornado out in the country, fortunately. Often is the case when you've got twin tornadoes is there's going to be a larger tornado and then a smaller tornado off to the distance. So there's times where you can see 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 tornadoes. Being from Oklahoma, I have these dreams in the middle of the night where there are 6 tornadoes racing at me. So tornadoes, and that's just my imagination going wild. I've never seen anything more than a triplet tornado in my life. And this next image actually has a triplet tornado in it. So in this one, you can see one square in the middle, right to the left of that stop sign. That's the primary tornado. And then you got satellite tornadoes, which is what they actually call them. One on the far right of the image, and then one on the far left of the image. You got the satellite tornadoes. Now, a satellite tornado, basically, those are tornadoes connected to the main storm, but they're not part of the same funnel cloud. And then there's also the multi-vortex tornado, which is multiple tornadoes within the same rotation. So every once in a while you can see video and images of a multi-vortex tornado where you can actually see itty bitty tornadoes circling around the main tornado. And that's interesting to see when you see it. Those are actually fairly common. They're more common than the satellite tornadoes like what we're looking at here. But the multi-vortex tornado is really common. And a lot of the tornadoes that do the most significant damage are oftentimes the multi-vortex tornado. Like the one I showed you in the previous image, the May 31st, 2013 tornado, that was a multi-vortex tornado. And if you go to YouTube and you look for that particular tornado, you can see a lot of footage taken by professional storm chasers where they were close enough that you could actually see the individual tornadoes within the bigger tornado as it rotated. And so there's a lot of multi-vortex activity in that May 31st, 2013 El Reno tornado. But you'll have to go to YouTube or go to news website or maybe even one of the tornado chaser websites to get good video of that. Okay. And there's a lot of good stuff out there. Just have to look for it. So I'm going to leave this video right here. And so this is the first video of the tornado warning channel. And I'm going to be gathering together a lot of different tornadoes and tornado footage that I can share with you. And all the images I've included within this video are in the public domain. And that's going to be probably the case going forward. The images that I share with you are going to be in the public domain because, you know, I want to respect those who actually hold the copyrights. And so I'm going to locate for you different tornadoes I can share with you. And I'm going to give you kind of the story about the images of the tornado itself and the damage of the tornado. And where possible, I'd like to be able to also share with you some of the footage from radar stations, National Weather Service, as far as the development of the storm, because I find that personally, I find it fascinating. And most people here in Oklahoma, we're intimidated by the tornado, but we're at the same time we're rather fascinated by the tornado. And here's a lesson from a storm chasing perspective. If you go out, and most tornadoes travel in an easterly direction. So they might travel east-northeast, or they might travel due east, or east-southeast, or south-southeast. But everything generally has a western momentum or eastern direction to it. And so generally on the northern side of this tornado, you'll get the what they call the hail core, is where most of the hailstones fall. And the hail cores can have some fairly large hailstones in it, up to 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, enough to destroy your car. But generally, if you can get on the southwest side of the tornado, you're in most cases going to be safe there at that location. But as you chase the storm going east, you'll find yourself coming into the damage path and thereby increasing the chance of getting hurt while out there in that tornado. So if you go out there and chase, be careful. Keep your distance. Don't get too close. Val Castor, that I mentioned before, he gets paid to do this, and he's got a degree in meteorology, and he knows what he's doing. So when he's out there and getting a little too close to the storm, that's okay for him. But a lot of us laymen, if we were out there trying to get as close to the storm as he gets to the storm, it could have deadly consequences. So I want to encourage everybody to approach a tornado safely and not run out there and try to get photographs of the storm. Let the professionals do that for us. And especially in the situation where you got a single tornado out there and there's 500 cars chasing the same storm, that creates more and more and more problems. Just a few years ago in southwestern Oklahoma, a storm chaser ran a stop sign and collided with another storm chaser, and people died in that accident as well. So stay off the roads, let the professionals deal with it, and they are very good at providing some outstanding footage for us to view. So until next time, this is the Tornado Warning Channel. I hope you enjoy it.